Samantha, this is fantastic analysis right here. I really enjoy reading your writing. I mean, you've got such a good understanding of art and illustration. I really, really appreciate your viewpoint. So, and this is certainly no exception. As a matter of fact, I had a question for you that you actually answered in your usually when I look at these, when I do a video response, I'll take a look at the work and I'll kind of analyze it myself, and I'll ask the students some questions to start to try to garner some deeper thinking and try to tie some of the course objectives and the learning outcomes with this actual illustration itself. So as I was perusing this illustration, I do have definitely have some comments for you to contemplate, but my question was, there is a technique in Illustrator that would take this illustration and take the time it would take and cut it in a quarter and literally ensure that symmetry is symmetry. We see it on the left and right hand side of the face. Lo and behold, you had addressed that in your writing with the transform reflect tools, and that's just fantastic. I mean, that shows wonderful foresight. And yes, indeed, this designer did not draw for, didn't this illustration was created drawing this half of the face first, or one half of the face first, right? And then it was reflected and it was colored differently. And then that whole illustration again was reflected down here. So it's really, really an interesting technique, and one that is very valuable and extremely, it's an extreme time saver. There's a couple of things in this. To me, there's a couple of things in this illustration that are remarkable. Number one is the way that this illustrator has captured the most defining characteristics of a fox, which of course is the face, the ears, the shape of the face, and of course that fluffy tail. So the way that this was incorporated, I thought this was really, really an interesting and very effective choice. To me, another thing that's really interesting and something that is that most wouldn't think about is the lines and these kind of geometric patterns within the interior portion of the face. And I just think it creates this wonderful rhythm in the piece that gets kind of carried around through the bottom of the horizontal symmetry, and that to me is really incredible. It's an engaging technique that really kind of forces the viewer to keep their eye in this composition longer than they might possibly do so otherwise. So that's a really fantastic technique, and one I think that not all of us would have thought about in illustrating this piece. So that's just fantastic. I'm also really interested in the background. I think the background, I mean, there's no doubt this has some Art Nouveau-esque embellishments to it, specifically the foliage, the flowers, and these kind of flourishing fleur-de-lis visual attributes. One thing I'm kind of surprised about is the fact, and this will be your question here. So we've got what would be tailor-made setup for a complementary color scheme of course, using green for the foliage, the associated foliage, creating a complementary color scheme using red and green. My question to you is, why do you suppose this illustrator decided to use blue for the foliage as opposed to green? And let me know your reaction to that, because I'm a little interested in that myself. So, all right, great job. Thank you very much.